What if you could effortlessly grow your own delicious mushrooms, even if you've been disappointed in the past? In this video, I'll reveal a simple, inexpensive method that requires no specialist equipment and will have you harvesting fresh mushrooms in just 6 to 8 weeks. This approach is incredibly easy to try, and you are going to love the results, I promise. To begin, we need a container. A cardboard box works well, but I recommend using a double-thickness one for added rigidity, especially as it becomes moist. If you don't have 2 boxes, an old mushroom crate, like the one I'm using today, is perfect. I'll line it with additional cardboard to prevent the growing mixture from falling out and to maintain the consistent moisture mushrooms thrive on. For our mushrooms to flourish, they require a nutritious growing medium. I have here some beautifully well-rotted cow manure. It's crucial to use well-rotted manure, not fresh, as fresh manure is too strong and contains high levels of urea and other harsh compounds that can burn the delicate mycelium and hinder growth. Alternatively, a good quality all-purpose potting mix can be used. I've had great success experimenting with a 50-50 blend of manure and potting mix, as well as pure manure. We'll also need mushroom spawn, which you can think of as the mushroom's seeds. This is readily available online. To help lock in moisture, I've prepared some newspaper, and a spray bottle will be essential for misting. Today, we're cultivating common button mushrooms, the same variety you find in supermarkets. These are simply smaller versions of standard white mushrooms, which are, in turn, smaller versions of the large-capped portobello mushrooms. They are all the same species, Agaricus bisporus. Closely related are chestnut or cremini mushrooms. All these varieties thrive in well-composted manure, rich in nutrients, particularly nitrogen, and they also perform exceptionally well in a good all-purpose potting mix. To prepare the manure, I'm simply adding a little moisture until it's damp, not waterlogged. Just get your hands in there and mix it thoroughly. Don't worry about handling manure, it's all beneficial for our mushrooms, and they will absolutely love it. To test if it's moist enough, grab a handful and give it a firm squeeze. You should see a few drips of water, but not a torrent. If your manure is already adequately moist, you can skip this step. If you're incorporating potting mix, now is the ideal time to blend it in. Next, I'll line my mushroom crate. If you're reusing old crates, ensure they are thoroughly washed with soapy water, rinsed, and dried before use. This prevents any unwanted mushroom spores from contaminating your grow. My new crate has been given a quick wash, and the cardboard lining will keep the mix contained. Now, I'll fill the tray with my lovely moistened manure. It's fascinating to consider how the waste product of one organism can become the food source for another. Fungi are truly nature's great recyclers. Did you know that fungi actually share more DNA with us than with plants? The mushrooms we're growing don't require any light, making them perfect for out-of-the-way spaces like a shed. They're also incredibly efficient growers. For example, you could cultivate approximately 453,592 kilograms of mushrooms on just 0.4 hectares of land, compared to around 12,700 kilograms of potatoes on the same area. That's a significant difference. Excellent. I've filled the tray to about 2/3 of its depth. We're aiming for a minimum depth of about 15 centimeters, though a bit deeper is perfectly fine. It's now level and evenly filled. Let's take a closer look at the mushroom spawn. If you examine it closely, you'll see the mycelium, which are the roots of the mushroom, growing all over cereal grains. These grains act as a transfer mechanism, providing the mycelium with a substrate until it's introduced into our nutrient-rich growing medium. The spawn also has a wonderful earthy, mushroomy scent. When adding the spawn, it's important to break it up as much as possible. Roll it between your hands to separate the grains, which will help it spread more efficiently. Regarding quantity, aim for a percentage between 2% and 10% of the growing medium's volume. I personally lean towards the higher end, as it accelerates the colonization of the manure and significantly increases your chances of success. Once added, simply mix the spawn into the top few centimeters of your manure or potting mix to ensure an even distribution. Finally, we'll tuck our developing mushrooms in with dampened newspaper. Thoroughly wet the newspaper until it's saturated, then lay it over the top, tucking it in at the sides. This will slow down evaporation, keeping the mushrooms consistently moist and snug. To finish, I'll add a label with the date and mushroom type to keep track of everything. The mushroom tray now needs to be placed somewhere dark and airy for the mycelium, the mushroom's root system, to fully colonize the manure. The ideal temperature is a slightly warm room temperature, no warmer than about 24 degrees Celsius, as higher temperatures can harm the mycelium. Conversely, it shouldn't be cooler than 15 degrees Celsius, or growth might stall. For me, at this time of year, that means bringing them indoors where it's warmer. A cozy cubby hole is ideal. I'll cover it with some cardboard to block out most of the light, ensuring they remain in the dark. I have some trays I started earlier. We need to check them every couple of days and give them a light misting if they appear dry. The goal is nicely moist, not soaking wet, so don't overdo it. Just a light spray will suffice. After approximately 10 to 14 days, you'll notice fine white thread spreading. This is the mycelium colonizing our box, a sure sign of progress. Then, in about another week, you'll observe a more solid spread of mycelium, transforming the growing medium almost entirely white. This is an exciting moment, as it signals the final stage before those lovely, delicious mushrooms appear. To encourage the mycelium to produce mushrooms, we need to add a casing layer. This final layer of material signals to the mycelium to begin forming fruiting bodies, which are the mushrooms themselves. Let me show you what's involved. We need a material that retains moisture well but is also light and fluffy to allow for good air exchange. The solution is a 50-50 mix of coconut fiber and vermiculite. Coconut fiber is excellent at retaining the moisture our mushrooms need for fruiting, while vermiculite keeps the mixture open, facilitating proper air exchange, oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. Start mixing this until you achieve an even distribution. If it's a bit dry, as mine is, simply add water until it reaches the same nice moisture level as the manure. This mixture is now wonderfully cool and damp. You'll want to lay this casing layer over your mycelium to a depth of about 3 centimeters. This will maintain a cool and moist environment below. Return your trays or boxes to a dark and well-ventilated area, but this time, opt for the cooler side of room temperature, specifically between 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. At this stage, it's crucial to monitor your boxes very carefully. I check mine at least once a day and mist frequently to maintain high humidity and a consistently moist casing layer. Once the mushrooms reach your desired size, it's time to harvest them. I prefer to harvest them when they are fully formed but still closed underneath, like this perfect specimen. Gently twist and pull the mushroom from its base. It might sound unusual, but I've never smelled anything as mushroomy as this. It's incredibly fresh, and growing them yourself truly makes a difference. Do not be tempted to cut the mushrooms, as this leaves a stump that can rot and potentially affect subsequent mushrooms. Always twist and pull. After harvesting, simply cover the remaining hole with a little of the surrounding casing material to ensure it stays moist. Chestnut or button mushrooms are just 2 of many edible mushroom varieties you can grow. You should get several rounds, or flushes, of mushrooms from the tray. They won't all appear at once, rather, they'll pop up here and there. Continue removing them once they reach the desired size to encourage more growth. Remember to keep misting your mushrooms to maintain production. Once they finally stop producing, simply empty the spent growing medium onto your compost heap or garden beds. It makes a fantastic natural fertilizer, effectively closing the growth loop. Truly magnificent. And there you have it, delicious homegrown mushrooms, straight from your own boxes.